Alright guys, in this session I'm going to have you take a quick look at how to make a scale drawing. Now I'm going to let you make a scale drawing for extra credit. It's entirely optional, but it's something fun to do related to what we're currently studying. So first of all, you need to find a character that you would like to enlarge or make bigger. So like a comic strip character, or you can print one out from the internet. On the lesson plan, I give you a couple of suggestions, and you can print those out from home. But I just, for example purposes, chose Gru here from Despicable Me. So I'm going to try to show you how to make this image of him bigger. Now, you don't need to use the whole image. You can just use his head, or if you're doing something like Snoopy, you can just use his head if you wanted, or Hello Kitty could just be the head. You don't have to use the whole body if you're not sure you could do that. Okay? So here's step 2. We've got our image. Now we want to draw a centimeter grid around our shape. Now the grid can be any size you want, but ideally you like to make it a square. It's a little easier that way. But I use my centimeter ruler, and I just draw lines every centimeter. Okay, and it looks like by drawing my yellow lines to every centimeter, I've got most of Gru covered. So I'll just stop there, even though part of his arm won't get in the drawing. That's okay. And then do the same thing on the other side. Okay. So now, as you can see that I have circled in, or highlighted there in the green, I've made a grid around Gru that is 4 centimeters long and 3 centimeters wide. So my image is 3 centimeters by 4 centimeters currently. And I want to enlarge that. I want to make that bigger. So I'm going to make it on big white paper. So here's our next step here. I have Gru, and I'm not sure why Gru's not doing anything currently. But let's see here. Alright, so I was kind of playing around with this. Here again I have Gru, his 3 by 4 grid, 4 centimeters by 3 centimeters. And my next step here is to enlarge him. And you can choose how big you want it to go. You just want it to fit on your paper. You can make it just twice as big, all the way up to 8 times as big, and sometimes that will work. So if my current dimensions on my drawing are 3 centimeters by 4 centimeters, and I'm going to try to make them 7 times as big, because that will fit on my big white piece of paper. So I just take each dimension, times it by 7. So 3 times 7 is 21, and 4 times 7 is 28. So on my larger paper, the big white paper, I'm going to make a large grid using my ruler that is 21 centimeters by 28 centimeters. Now I can't show you that exactly here, but I'll kind of show you what it looks like. Okay? So here we have a picture, and making my drawings here of my 4 centimeter by 3 centimeter grid, but I made it 21 by 28. And then I divided it by every 7 centimeters because I wanted each box to be 7 times as big, right? So I'm going to pause it there for a second. I got my grid, 28 by 21, and then I made my lines every 7 centimeters so that I could have my same 3 by 4 grid. It's just enlarged 7 times as big. And now I just go back and forth to my original picture, and I draw what I see in each box. So in that very uppermost left box, all I can see is kind of his ear and his bit of his scarf and his shoulder. So you can see in that first box on the left, that's all I drew, part of his ear. And I noticed that like his shoulder only went halfway up the square, so I only drew it going halfway up. And you want to draw it exactly like you see it in just that square. I'm not trying to draw his whole image all at once. I'm just drawing what I see in each square. Okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and the second one going across on the top. So there's still the top row, but the second square. I see one eye that goes a little bit more than halfway, so I'm drawing that. And then I drew his pupil in right away, but I'm going to have to change that, yeah, because when you look at the picture, his pupil, he's actually looking sideways in that picture, so I draw his pupil way on the left. And you're going to have to do a little bit of erasing here and there, but if I only focus what's on that particular square, that's all I have to draw. I don't have to draw a whole face. I just have to draw what I see. And I noticed, again, his eye was about halfway up, and his nose took over near the right side of that square, and I had a little triangle kind of left on the bottom corner of that picture. Okay? Now I'm going to go over to the next square, and I notice that, oh, I can fill in his eye, but, whoa, that eye looks a little too big, doesn't it? So you can kind of erase and readjust there. which I think I'm currently doing here. There we go, readjust it. And then he kind of has kind of dark edges around his eyes. I can kind of fill those in. Okay? And you're getting the idea of how to enlarge Gru, okay? That's the actual picture down there, and it does kind of look like that in my drawing, and that's kind of what we're looking for. Now, when you're choosing an image, I will give you this advice. It is much easier to use a hand-drawn image rather than this image of like Gru, which looks more realistic. So things on the example sheet I gave you, like SpongeBob or Patrick, things that are hand-drawn are much easier to make a scale drawing of. I know someone had mentioned trying to do Calvin and Hobbes. Great choice. It'll just take you a little more time, but another great choice to do. Okay? So when you finish with your worksheet, you can go ahead and start using one of the characters I gave you to practice with, get an idea. And then if you want to use one of those, go ahead and make it for your real drawing, and you can eventually turn that in for extra credit. Okay? Good luck.